So I wanted to put in a chapter about time management, in particular calendar, because I've tried all sorts of things, task lists, and pretty much everything, different applications. And I've managed people who needed to keep good time management, and tried a lot of things with them, and try to do something universal across sales teams and project manager teams. But everybody always seems to fall back to the calendar because it's something that you use. If you're using Outlook or Gmail or whatever, you got your emails there, you got your calendar there, and that just simplifies everything. And so just putting everything that you need to do in your calendar to make sure it gets done, and planning your calendar not just for your appointments but for the things that you need to get done. And I wanted to give this example. When I was in sales, I just wanted to always keep things simple. So I would meet a customer, go over what they wanted, and then I would say I'll be in touch in a week to follow up with a proposal or for more information, or to go over some things or set up the next appointment. Whatever, the next step will be within a week. And so I would always put it on my calendar, not for 7 days later, but for 5 days later, because a week to me is different than a week to the customer. So I knew that every time I said a week to a customer that I'd be back in touch, 5 days later I would get a call or an email saying, hey, just checking in to see how things are going, even though it's not been a week. So that's why I've always made it 5 days. And if I didn't put it in my calendar, a week would easily go by and feel just like a few days had gone by. To me, holy cow, that was a week already that I met with that person. So that was just my habit that really was huge for me, and I defended that. So if I were to get someone back, I said 7 days, I'd get back to them in 5 days. Even if I wasn't completely done, I would call and say, hey, I'm just finishing up, can we make an appointment for next week or whatever. Or I would use it as a sort of what I would call a concept verification. So I would say, okay, I'm finishing up, here's what I have so far, does it seem like we're on the right track? So that touch within 5 days was always great, but I always put it on my calendar. So as soon as I got in my car, I'd put it on my calendar. And so I just started doing it with a lot of stuff. And if you think about, keeping your promises, and another great one is, I would say to a customer, I'll follow up with you next spring to touch base on this, and immediately put it in my calendar and write down what it was, because you're going to forget by then. But if you write down exactly what it was and what to say and what to ask with detail, that pops up in your calendar in the spring. You call that person and like, holy cow, like I remember that you said you were going to call me in the spring. I'm impressed that you remembered that. But it's actually really easy when you put it in your calendar. So I always say, live by your calendar. Put everything in your calendar. It almost feels like magic when you do that, and people see the results of it. All right, I'll talk to you guys in the next one.